I'm not going to open it for you because I'll do it wrong.
You're just standing there. I have to open it myself?
Yeah. Oh. So you take out both my angles?
Yes. Coffee smells so good this morning. I am like, I really don't find myself itching for coffee very often, but I want coffee this morning. I don't really know why, but I am like, I'm craving it this morning.
I crave coffee quite a bit, actually, but the taste, not the caffeine, I don't think.
Yeah, and that's more so the thing for me, too, is the taste.
It's like a cigarette or something. Vice.
I don't necessarily feel that way because a lot of times if I go hunting or something, I just don't feel like making coffee in the morning because I'm the only one in my family that drinks it, and out of the guys that I hunt with, most of them don't drink coffee, so
what's wrong with that?
It's just not worth it to me to get up and make some for me.
Instant coffee. Ooh.
Sue, that's the thing. I did that on vacation, right? When we went on vacation, they had I don't know what a regular coffee pot is, a 12-cup coffee pot or whatever. And I'm the only one in my family that drinks coffee, so I wasn't going to mess with it. I came across this instant espresso stuff, and it was actually pretty damn delicious.
I'll have to send you the video I watched yesterday about different ways that you can use an instant espresso or instant coffee. Comments are coming in strong this morning.
I love it. Good morning, by the way, Paul. Paul right now is going, Gah!
But there's all kinds of ways to make it. There's this really.
Have you seen the movie?
You got cocaine on your brain now?
Cocaine Bear.
No.
Oh my goodness.
I've heard about it, but it's almost like the Sharknado movie,
yes.
I think.
I never did see the Sharknado one, but
I didn't either. I did see one. I think it was called Killer Tires.
Brooke, well, I'm going to say good morning to you. How about that?
Oh, hi, Dad. No, it was a tire. It was called Killer Tire or something. I mean, this is on Netflix and everything, and it went around killing people. I just caught bits and pieces. I could not sit down and watch it. It was hilarious.
Some days, I don't know who really cares about this, but there are some times when, like when my wife and my kids were gone they're helping my father-in-law for when his house flooded, and I'm the only one at home. I was watching some of the dumbest movies, some of these
like Tiger King,
80s B-rated movies and stuff, and they are, terrible and funny.
The fact that my dad says Cocaine Bear is great. Think of some of the movies he subjected me to growing up, like Waterworld. Oh my gosh, I don't know how many times I've seen Waterworld or Robin Hood Men in Tights. Ugh.
Yes.
The Stooges.
Oh my goodness, do I love the Stooges.
MASH and Gilligan's Island. Oh, anyway, what are we talking about today, Philium?
We're talking about all sorts of things. I just put my coffee. I haven't even had a drink yet. I need a drink. Hold on. I don't know. What the hell are we talking about this morning? We're talking about our upcoming women's clinic at Gracie. Talking about customer appreciation. Oh, and keeping your gun on you.
Yeah.
Keeping your gun.
Liz learned a valuable lesson.
On you.
Yes.
So that's what we're doing today. First, if you haven't seen our video from, when did we do that? Thursday? Yes, Thursday morning.
Tortilla slap challenge.
Oh my goodness. and it feels dumb to even say this, but I have watched that video like 10 or 12 or 15 times.
I wish we would have recorded you before we did it, because just the thought of doing it, he was in tears. I mean, dying. We were watching some videos, like all the rules and everything, and it was hilarious.
I obviously have a really hard time with it, because if you watch the video, we don't even make it to the first thing yet. I put water in my mouth and I spit it all over the place. It's awesome. Hysterical. Now, Charles made a short version. I'd watch the long version.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of good.
You got to watch the original where there's no bleeps and cuts and stuff. Charles tried to make it more family friendly.
Not safe for work.
You got to watch the full. You owe it to yourself to watch it. It's great.
For sure.
And I don't know. I always think that Facebook is conspiring against us, but I really felt like our videos have been throttled a lot lately, and that there was comments that I was seeing that I never saw a mention of comments and stuff.
Oh yeah,
but
for sure.
I don't know, but
I agree.
Go watch it.
It's fun.
It is fun. It's funny.
Okay.
So anyway, talking about customer appreciation, our upcoming women's clinic. This is Friday.
This Friday.
And then keeping your gun on you.
Yep.
So where do you want to start?
Let's start with our Customer Appreciation Day.
Okay.
So September 14th.
14th. Yep. It's a Saturday.
It's validation from Charles.
All day Saturday.
He didn't yell at me. So what happens on Customer Appreciation Day? We appreciate you.
Yes.
We have a great. Yeah, we have a great time. So you get the lanes are free all day. So you can come in and you don't have to pay for your lane rental. What about gun rentals? Are those normal $10?
I don't know. Gun rentals on customer appreciation, Charles.
Are they normal?
Are they
$10 plus? You're on the spot.
We're going to say yes, and you might be surprised if they're not.
Yeah, you might be surprised. Yeah.
We'll say that.
Yeah.
We may have everything in the store for free.
Whoa.
You didn't hear that.
Blame
John.
Charles.
Yeah, so free lane time.
Free lane time. I do think we still charge for rentals, targets, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the $20 lane fee is waived. Come in and freaking hang out with us. That's really what customer appreciation is.
You're missing. So there's going to be vendors here. There'll be like little booths and stuff in the parking lot, and games, and a dunk tank.
Tank. Who's going to be in the dunk tank?
The trainers. Well, usually it's you or I.
Yeah,
so.
me and you. Because Vinny gets to be inside.
Oh yeah, Vinny.
Guns,
Vinny's
guns.
in the simulator.
Yeah.
Come in and try to beat Vinny.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Vinny will have some fun games and stuff planned in there. We'll have some instructional times as well. Short little classes. Rob Morton will be out here doing a tourniquet course. We're going to do one on firearm safety at home. I think SIG might be putting something on as well. I can't specifically remember, but we'll have educational sessions, a couple throughout the day.
GOA will be here.
Yeah, GOA will be here. Oh my goodness, Alex Shea from GOA will be here.
Gotta come. If just to meet Alex Shea.
That alone. I mean, I was going to say worth the price of admission, but there is no price of admission. But that's worth making the drive down here and finding a parking spot just to go and come and meet Alex. Is great, and obviously it's for a good reason to talk to him about GOA and what they're doing for us and how we can help them and so on.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Liz and I will be alternating back and forth in the dunk tank all day. It's always a good time. You can come out.
Patches and stickers and swag and games and all kinds of stuff.
All kinds of fun stuff. Lots of stuff will be on sale, and it's just a party. It's a way for us to give back to you guys. We do also have Hawaiian shirts that we're selling.
We're selling
we'll all
Hawaiian
be
shirts.
wearing a new Hawaiian shirt for this customer appreciation. It's 9 years. It's crazy.
Magnum PI-ish.
Yes. I really should try to find some Magnum PI, like little UDT shorts that he wore. I would feel
perfect for the dunk tank.
Very awkward walking around in those all day, but
that's awesome.
If I could find some, I might do that. It'd be bad, but good.
Do it. And what else? Speaking of Alex Shea and GOA and my Kami Coffee, When I was at the conference at GOA, I went downstairs one morning to go get some coffee, and they have a Starbucks in the hotel. And so I go and I get my Starbucks, and I'm waiting in line and get it. And as I'm walking back to the room, I look over and I see Alex and Jennifer sitting at the breakfast lounge eating breakfast. And so I walk over and was talking to Jennifer, and Alex was kind of behind me talking to somebody else. And so I was sitting there drinking my coffee, and I had my back to Alex, and she's like, "Oh, you got commie coffee. Better not let Alex see that." And I was like, "Okay." And so, of course, he comes back over, and I immediately go like this, so he couldn't see it. And then he puts his back up against mine and starts doing this little thing, like it starts dancing. Just so you know who Alex Shea is. And I was like, yeah, like this is great. He didn't know that I was trying to hide my commie coffee, and he just wanted to dance because everybody had been dancing with him all weekend and the little spinny booth thing, and he is such a fun person. So, anyway.
So why do they call it commie coffee?
Because Starbucks isn't the most
Gun friendly?
Yes.
They don't. They know like them.
I feel very awkward talking smack on the business. I mean, like, it's true, but I feel very much like a hypocrite drinking it. It's so tasty.
But it's delicious.
It is.
Yes.
It is. Anyway, okay, so.
That's Customer Appreciation Day. Come out. It'll be all day. Come out, hang out with us, bring the family, play some of the games outside. It really is a great time. Come inside, buy something, shoot your gun, whatever. But it's a good time, and it's worth the trip to come out here and see the chaos.
For sure, it's fun. Okay, now the Gracie event. So on Friday, this Friday. What number is this? 5 or 6, probably.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
this is probably the 5th one of these that we've done. Our women's self-defense workshop that we team up with Gracie Baja down the street, and they do such an awesome job of putting on a great class for us. And it's a women's self-defense workshop, so using jiu-jitsu techniques to overcome strength. So it's a great option for ladies to look into. They'll kind of show us from different positions that we'll typically find ourselves in an encounter, like maybe someone grabbing our hair or trying to bear hug us, trying to, I don't know, you name it, ways of being grabbed by the wrist or by the neck, someone on top of you, how to get out of that predicament using leverage over strength. So it's a fantastic opportunity to learn some of those techniques. I say learn, but you're basically getting an introduction to this. Now, there's several ladies that are coming to this multiple times. This will be my 5th or 6th one. And each time I go, these techniques become much easier to recall, and I can recreate them. It takes me a second to think about them, but I can now recreate them fairly well. And that's just because I keep going and learning them each time a little bit more, learning more details and putting it together. One of the biggest aspects about this workshop is that it's allowing your brain to go the path of violence, to be able to use physical force against another person. Just at jiu-jitsu this morning, me and another one of our, she's a Lady Sentinel member, she's a range member, she has been involving herself in everything, self-defense, which is awesome, so I get to see her all the time. And this morning we were talking about pressure, and one of the first things that you learn in jiu-jitsu is to put pressure on another person, and that is so awkward as a woman. We were making jokes about how, growing up and you're dating or whatever, and so you sit on your boyfriend's lap, and they probably think we're putting all our weight on there, but we're like hovering, using our quads and everything to keep ourselves being light. And that's so normal. Like, we don't want to be heavy. We don't want to weigh a lot. And so to get into jiu-jitsu and start actually using your weight.
Smash!
That's a whole nother concept. So, or to bend arms backwards or choke people. It's just getting your brain to go that direction. So that way, if you ever had to, you can make that decision in the moment without that same apprehension. And then obviously, as you keep going on and practicing, they become pretty natural.
And she started off as just coming to one of these events and was like, I think I might like this.
Yeah.
I want to come and try an actual jiu-jitsu class. She came and tried it. She ended up joining the gym, and we see her 2 or 3 days a week now at the gym, which is awesome.
Heck
it's
yeah.
so awesome. And that's what my hope is for events like this, is that it's an introduction so that you know you can do it, and you want to learn more. Any of these 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 6 hour clinics are just that. It's just a clinic for that moment. It's you're not going to have any real retention. You're not going to have the ability to recall that in the moment. Our hope is that it opens your eyes. This is something I can do. Like, who knows what jiu-jitsu even is? Like, what does that mean? They think it's backflips and punches and spinning kicks and stuff.
Right. Yeah. It's not.
And it's not. It's leverage. And so when we can open your eyes to that a little bit, hopefully it helps you understand that you can do it, and if you want to come back and do it some more. So we never did say hi to Don. Don Fitz, yo.
You got to be the one to say it. Could you say that yo and that?
Mr. Lou, good morning.
I don't think I've ever seen you comment
Me
on here.
either.
Welcome, sir.
Caught me off guard. So anyway, that's that event. That's this Friday, 6 to 8?
Yep.
7 to 9?
6 to 8.
6 to 8. It's $25, man. I mean, that is a smoking deal.
And we have the best time.
Oh, we have such a good time.
Ladies come in, you can clearly see on their face, like,
oh, yeah.
you do that? And, there'll be a class going on while, everybody's filtering in, they're watching, and they're like, oh my gosh, like, okay. And then we get started, and smiles and laughs, and me and Elise were laughing this morning because we were just having the best time, chuckling over in the corner, and it's like, we have a great time. So it might seem intimidating right now or when you walk in the door, but I promise you will leave laughing, smiling, having the best time. Very
And
low
we're out.
pressure, yeah,
It's-
and low pressure environment.
Yeah.
So
It's a good physical activity, good mentally because it's going to make you think a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So highly recommend it. We should have. I did not. I don't know if you looked this morning to see how many seats were left. We only had a few seats left as of last week.
Yeah.
So
I did
send
look
us
this morning.
send us an email, training@therangeSTL.com. If you're interested, this is not our class, so you can't find it on our website or anything. Just send an email to training@therangeSTL.com. We will email you a little Google form. It's just so we can keep track.
Yeah.
So because we hit the max a lot, we want to be able to accommodate as many people as we can and not overburden the gym as well. Miss
Yeah.
Peggy, good morning. So that's that.
He says he's always watching.
What's that?
He says he's always watching.
I know, that's scary.
Whether he's in here or online watching.
Oh, Don,
It's on the bottom.
yes, Don put a sticker on my cup, but I can't drink that much.
Oh boy.
You're not going to be able to see it.
If this is the same one that's on Vinny's phone.
As far as I can go, yes, I know.
Is it the same
Yeah,
one?
it's the same one. Yeah. I'll do one of these other morning lives like a half cup of coffee so that everybody can see it. Don Fitz is a smart man. Miss Cynthia, good morning. Dennis, good freaking morning. Dennis, you definitely have to go back and watch our video from last week Thursday. You will die. Don't die. But
Don't die.
you will love it. Gordon, good morning.
Good morning. Okay.
All right, let's talk. Last topic: keeping your gun on you. That seems really, 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 really simple.
It is. Liz had a learning moment.
Except
Yeah.
when you do something for comfort. So what we're talking about is concealed carrying and deciding in this moment, I don't want to have my gun on me.
Yeah. For convenience, for comfort, you name it. So I'll just tell a story of what happened to me on our way to the GOA conference, and then we'll talk about lessons learned. So me and my husband were driving to the GOA conference in Knoxville, Tennessee last week, and we were driving on a weekday. There wasn't a bunch of traffic or anything, but I wish I could look back and answer my question why we stopped, but we stopped for gas in Illinois. I don't know why. And we
So
stopped.
let's stop there for just a second. This is
Yeah.
something with her and I, when we were talking about this whole situation afterwards, I was like, what, you left from St. Louis?
Yeah.
Right? Like, right next to the border of Illinois, you should be able to plan well enough to not stop in Illinois.
Absolutely.
Certainly there's times when
Yeah.
you might have to or whatever, but in this case, because of where they were going through a bottom section of Illinois for a couple of hours, 2 hours or something.
Yeah.
You can drive through there without having to stop. If you plan for that, hey, let's make sure the gas tank's full and that I have food and I don't need to stop for breakfast in 22 minutes.
Right. Yeah. And that's why I wish I could look back and try to, because I don't recall even thinking about it at all, which is, truthfully, we don't drive through Illinois a lot. We don't travel a lot. So maybe that's the reason why we didn't even think about it. But I even tell people that, like, stop in Missouri. Like, why would you get gas in Illinois? I don't know. But it happened. So we stopped in Mount Vernon, Illinois, and went inside, used the restroom, got, roadie, sody, and all that soda thing. And I was waiting for you. I don't even drink soda, but I was hoping you'd spit that out of your nose.
That is coffee. Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate you.
I mean, that would be better than soda, but maybe. I don't know. Anyway.
Hot coffee? I think I'd rather have bubbly soda
Ooh.
come out of my nose.
Anyway, so go inside, and before I couldn't go inside unless I took my gun off. In Illinois, given that you have a Missouri concealed carry permit, you can drive through Illinois with your gun on you, loaded, capable for use of self-defense. But you cannot get out of the car with it. And if you get out of the car, you have to leave the car or the gun in the car and lock it in there. So in order for me to go inside, I had to take off my gun. So I did. Took it off, put it away. I had put it into, there's like this weird center console where there's an open spot underneath. So I put it into this
Keep
little
talking,
section.
I'm going to grab something.
I carry in a Filster Enigma. So if you don't know what a Filster Enigma is, it's
That's what I'm grabbing.
okay. So he'll show you in a minute, but it's a little bit more complicated to take on and off. There's a leash that goes around my leg that's a little tricky to get on and off, but truthfully, it was no excuse. So
yeah, if you don't know what, excuse me, if you don't know what the Enigma is, this is the Enigma. So it's a self-contained chassis system with a holster. This goes around your waist. This goes around your leg. Okay, so for me, wearing what I'm wearing right now, if I need to get out of the car, I pull the little clips, put my gun in a safe or locked container, whatever. I put it away. When I come back out, I grab the gun, I put it back on. That's easy.
yeah,
Right? That's an easy thing to do. To do that sitting down is more complicated, without a doubt.
yeah. But
And I'm guessing that complication led to, well, I'm more comfortable not having it on me, for sure. The complication of having to do that, it's like, well, it's sitting right here, I'm fine.
100%. And it was easier for me to not put it back on. So I didn't have to, do all this nonsense, get my gun out visible and trying to put it on and, all that sort of thing. We did have lock boxes as well. My husband's was in the safe in the back of the car, and I had my little safe, but it was also in the back of the car, so I just stuck it in there real quick. He was going to be pumping gas, so I just put it out of sight, and then I went inside. So when I came back out, I just got back into the seat, and I was like, well, we're going to be driving on the highway the whole time, and I was like, in my mind, and I just want to be clear about something. I know that this was a bad idea. I know that I didn't make the right choice. Okay, so this is me realizing the mistake I made and sharing it with you guys, so that way we can all learn from this. And nothing bad happened. Obviously, I'm here and everything's fine. But it was definitely a learning moment.
Well, let's go back to that for just a second. You made the choice.
I made
right?
the choice. It was absolutely a choice that I made. It wasn't, whatever.
You didn't forget about it.
No.
You didn't.
No.
You made a conscious decision, and we talk about this a lot. Like even whether you're carrying a gun or not,
Sure.
is a choice you make. You need to understand all the parameters, though. Like, okay, if I don't carry my gun, these are the possibilities of things happening. If I do carry my gun, these are the possibilities of things happening, or the discomfort I might have versus the comfort of carrying a gun, or whatever.
Yeah.
In this time, she made a choice to not put the gun on because she thought, well, the gun's here, it's right next to me, that's fine.
Yeah, for sure. It was,
Okay.
a sacrifice that I chose to make in the moment. I chose to not have my gun on me for convenience and comfort. So, get in the car, we're driving. Again, my husband's gun is locked up in the trunk. Mine was there next to us, but it was not on me. So we're driving and we're going down this stretch of highway where there's just one lane and there is a lot of construction. And the construction was going on for quite a while. And we just had one lane. There was a barrier wall to our left, no real space onto our left side. And then there was a shoulder and then some woods and, just random things along the right side. A little bit of a shoulder here and there, so on and so forth. So we're driving and we're listening to a podcast or something, and all of a sudden my husband looks in the rear view mirror. He's like, holy and of course I got interested. I was like, what? He's like, we almost got rear-ended. And so I look in the rear view mirror and there's this car behind us, like slowing way down and then flooring it and coming right up on our butt and then slowing down and then trying to get around us this way, coming around this way. I have never seen someone drive so erratically. And because we just noticed it in that moment, we don't know if we cut him off and made him mad. Like, we didn't know why he was driving that way. But it seemed like he was angry and trying to get alongside us or pass us or something. So I pretty much immediately called 911. And because of the fact I've been in a previous road rage encounter where it took me forever to call 911, and I just didn't think about it. Just learning moments, guys.
The last time.
Yeah. I didn't call 911 as soon as I could have. Everything was fine, but I could have called 911 sooner and solved the problem sooner. So this time I learned from that and I called 911 right away. So I was on the phone with dispatch. We had him on speakerphone and just kind of talking to him. And then at some point, my husband says he's got a gun. He's waving a gun. And I don't remember if he showed me the gesture in the car or he showed me later because I didn't see it. But he said he was waving the gun like this. And this guy's behind us. This car behind us also had a semi-truck behind him. So, totality of the situation. So anyway, we're driving on the phone with 911. We're talking to them giving descriptions, trying to get license plate numbers. This guy's driving all kinds of crazy. And it feels like we're on the phone with 911 forever. At this point, I did have my gun in my hand. It was in its holster still. I did not break the retention. The retention on these filters is pretty good. So even if I were to like swing my gun around, the gun wouldn't actually come out until I pushed the holster off. So I had the gun in between my legs with my hand on the grip with my thumb on the holster to be able to push it off if I needed to. The reason for that is because I didn't want a gun with the trigger exposed in my hand in that moment, because then I started visualizing what I would do if I even need to use my gun. So, okay, so what if he comes up on our right side? If he gets up on the shoulder? I started thinking of safe direction and what's behind, and there was woods. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But then started thinking about the glass and the bullet trajectory, because as soon as a bullet hits glass, it's changing the trajectory a lot. And I got two...
depending on angles and all that stuff, sometimes more than others and so on.
And I'm in a moving vehicle, shooting at a moving vehicle. Like, there's all kinds of complexities to shooting at or from a moving vehicle, and it's a lot. So then I started visualizing him being on the left side, and the gun in front of my husband's face. Like, it was crazy how I could see it. But then I made the decision that a gun is not going to be my best option. In any case, I couldn't imagine. The only thing that I've been able to visualize is while he was waving a gun towards us, my only thing would be to aim towards him behind us. That would be the only thing that would even come remotely close to making sense. And I couldn't finish the visualization of that.
That would be tough. Just two different highly angled pieces of glass, super thick pieces of glass. That'd be tough.
And I still want to think more about that. Like, it's all over now, but like, what would that have been an advantageous thought? Like, if he's waving a gun in our direction, that's anyway.
Yeah.
So, gun's not an option. So hopefully, through this whole conversation, we waited and waited. It felt like we passed like several exits and everything, and we're just talking to dispatch, and he kept coming up on her, and I was like, holy crap! Like, he was coming up so fast. Like, I felt that, like, like when someone's about to pour water on you and you're like, ugh, like that feeling. That's what I felt the whole time. So eventually we met up with the troopers. They were like 3 of them up here and 1 of them over here. But that whole time we were on the highway, the realization that they couldn't get to us to help us was staunch. Like, it was like, holy crap, we're by ourselves right now. And it's going to be a while before they can get to us. Anyway, so we get through the construction zone. They end up pulling the guy over. We stopped at a gas station up the street, and the troopers met up with us later and got a statement from us and everything. And I asked them, I said, hey, can we just get a little confirmation that we saw what we saw? Because you're looking behind you, and we did inform dispatch that we were armed. No, I did not let them know that we were armed. At that point, I didn't feel it necessary to bring more stress to the situation. If I were to have had to use my gun, that would have been much different. Even if I displayed it at him, even if I didn't shoot it, if I displayed it at him, then I would have absolutely mentioned the firearm. But I didn't want to add more stress to the situation. I wanted them to focus on them. And my gun was not drawn, so I just let that be. But yes, they did know that they had a gun. Anyway, so we asked, did he have a gun? He said yes, they did get a gun off of him. And they took our statement and so on and so forth. So, all was well. It ended without any violence. But here's the thing. Let's say he did hit us, and that sent our car spiraling off the road. Me losing control of my gun is a high likelihood. And then what if, he gets us off the road, we crash, and as we're getting out of a daze of being in a crash, and we see this guy walking up with a gun in his hand or another tool, or just with an aggressive, how would I be able to defend myself if this was a whole road rage incident, if he wanted to hurt us, whatever his purpose was, he had shown full intent to harm us, by his driving and then also displaying the gun. And if we would have lost control of the car, I would have lost control of my gun and had no avenue of self-defense from there, at least with that level. So that was a pretty big realization. While I just wanted to be comfortable, we're on the highway, and all I really thought about was being carjacked. I'm like, well, we're on the highway, so the likelihood of that's so slim. And that was like the only thing I thought about, which is crazy to me because I've talked about it quite a bit in CCW. I've heard stories from students, and it's just one of those things that you take for granted sometimes. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And everything worked out okay, but I won't do that again.
One of the big things I take away from this, and you might do it again, but you have more information to make a decision on.
Absolutely.
You thought you were making a decision, the right decision. You weighed pros versus cons. Okay, I'm not going to put it on. It's more comfortable if I don't have it on. We're going to be sitting in the car a long time. I can turn this way and fall asleep, turn this way and fall asleep, or whatever, and not have to deal with my gun digging into me, thinking, oh, there's nobody's going to carjack us. That's what was going through your head.
Absolutely.
So now you can think, well, somebody might just freaking rage out on us on the highway. I should have my gun on me. Now, then if you still make a decision not to have it, that's fine, as long as you are making that decision on as many factors as you can.
Yeah.
And that's what we see a lot with all sorts of stuff is you just decide I'm not going to carry the gun because you don't think about you don't have all the information that you should have to make a decision on.
Yeah.
Making a decision to not carry a gun is okay. Making a decision to have it, okay, well, I'm going to carry the gun while I'm in this other state, but I don't feel like dealing with it in the car, is okay. I think it's better to have it on you. I do.
For sure.
It doesn't, in my mind, it doesn't do you any good to have it anywhere else because you just don't know where that thing's going to go. This comes up a lot in CCW. People will ask about having a holster mounted somewhere and putting your gun in a holster. So I use myself as an example here. I mounted a holster in my last truck in Suburban, and it was perfect, man. It went on this kick panel right next to my right leg. It was mounted about an inch and a half off the side, so it's easy for me to holster the gun, easy for me to unholster the gun. My thought process when I mounted that in there was that I can sit down and not have this thing digging into me, and I can take it off and put it in there. And I did it once, and I was like, what if I need it? Okay, it's just right there. well, what if I'm getting out of my car and I need it, and it's there, and I'm outside the car, or I get in an accident and I'm discombobulated and I don't have the wherewithal to reach down there and get it, or I'm not in that seat anymore, or whatever. And it really became more about, well, now I'm driving to Walmart and I got to get out. I don't really want to take a loaded gun while I'm sitting down and try to holster it, if at all possible.
Sure, yeah.
I would much rather...
Because you're flagging yourself, like across your leg and your gut, like...
And truthfully, this... Okay, so the internet can see, I have an unloaded gun here, okay? If I take this out and I'm sitting down, I have to point the gun at myself to put it away. So ultimately, I would rather take my holster off, put the gun in the holster, and then put it on me. Sitting with this thing in by itself is a pain. This hurts. So you got to take this off too. It just becomes a big hassle. So now you're getting out of the car. You're looking around, you got the door open, and you're reaching in, grabbing this thing, trying to put it in the holster, and then put it on you. It just became such a big hassle. I thought, well, I'm just going to sit in my truck with my gun on. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
And I used it twice. On one long road trip going to Iowa, and one other time, and that's in like 10 years I had that truck, 12 years I had that truck. It's just not worth it to me to have it off of me. I'd much rather have it on me. Now, have I gone in someplace, say in Illinois? You and I, when we traveled to Milwaukee, we spent, 6.5 hours driving through Illinois. We had to stop at some point for gas or for lunch or whatever. I take my gun off, lock it up, do our thing. Is it possible that, and have I done this before, where I get back in my car and just simply forget about it, or be like, nah, I'm not going to grab it? Yes, I've done that.
For sure.
Is that the best choice? Because now mine's definitely inaccessible to me. If I was in that situation, in my truck, my gun, if I lock it up, gets put in a safe underneath of my passenger seat. I couldn't be driving and then reach back, put in my code, and open my safe and get my gun. There's no way.
Yeah.
No way. Is it more comfortable to have that and not have to deal with it when you're sitting down?
Sure. Yeah.
But when you do it enough, it's really not a big deal. And her and I had a great discussion after the whole thing. I'm like, why weren't you wearing? You wear your gun so much.
I know. I do. Like it's stupid. Like
so much that I just like. Why the hell would you not put it back on? And definitely the complexity of putting the Enigma back on is a factor in that. As much as I want to make that an excuse, it is harder.
It takes me 3 seconds to take this off and put it back on, and
you're standing up. When you're sitting down, it's harder.
I've gotten pretty good at it.
But I agree.
It's not an excuse for me.
It shouldn't be.
It was purely out of just comfort, and that's even hilarious for me to say, because I find this holster very comfortable. Like it's not an uncomfortable gun. Like when I'm on a car ride, if I'm going for a long distance, like I like to curl up and like put my feet up in the seat and kind of curl around and like
you're such a girl,
like a little cat. So it was a decision that I made, and I can make those decisions. Everything in the gun world is a sacrifice. Like it's you. What we want you to take from this is the knowledge of the decision-making process. Now you get to see that there's a little bit more information on what to make a decision on. So you can learn from my mistake. And I say it's a mistake because of what happened. But I still made the conscious decision. I knew what I was getting myself into. I knew that if I didn't have my gun, it wouldn't be as accessible. What I didn't think about was this exact thing happening. And that's where it foiled me.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And this is a learning moment. We try to tell people in CCW, try to think about how this thing's going to be used, especially as it relates to like holster selection and types of holsters and some of these oddball, weird holster things that promise to be way more comfortable than others. Try to think, okay, this is going to be awesome because it's this big pouch thing that mounts to my belt. It doesn't go inside the waistband. It's going to be way more comfortable. It doesn't look like I'm carrying a gun, so that's going to be the best way to conceal carry. Okay, well, now sit down in a car with a seatbelt on and decide, is this going to work, right? You have to try to think about your day-to-day life and what you do and think about all the situations. And if it works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, great. If it works for 82.3% of everything you're going to do and you decide, hey, when I'm wearing these clothes and I'm doing this thing, this is an option for me, then fine, okay? But you're making that decision based on as much information as possible rather than just comfortable or uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and now I'm, again,
Eugene, good morning.
as much, maybe this will happen again in the future, of course, but I get to make the decision, comfortable or comforting. So we got to go up a little bit.
All right.
So Paul, did Illinois State Patrol tell you why you behaved that way? So interesting thing here. They did not tell me why, and I could have asked, but I was a little reluctant to. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it because, again, me and my husband both had firearms in the car. We're in Illinois. I just didn't want to make a big spectacle. I just wanted to get it, and truthfully, I wanted to get to Knoxville so we could go sightsee. But what was interesting is the conversation me and my husband had after the fact. Whenever he was waving the gun, it looked like he may have been like singing a song or like dancing or rapping or something like that. So my husband was starting to feel kind of guilty for, this is a hard thing to talk about because like the thought process of potentially shooting another person is crazy. And he was feeling empathy for him in that moment, thinking that, them pulling him over, him having a gun, him waving a gun, maybe he was just rapping to a song and he didn't mean to do us any harm. And
Maybe he wasn't.
But maybe he wasn't. But regardless, the empathy is good to be able to put yourself into a person's shoes like that to understand what was going on. But he was still being very negligent with his gun, and our lives were still in danger. So what would happen in a jury situation to where you'd be judged in court over this? And if that came out, this is that human aspect of it, the reasonableness, because this can work for you or against you. For us, because it was reasonable for us to assume that he was going to do us harm because of the way that he was displaying the gun, and it's reasonable to think that he could accidentally pull the trigger, a round could come in our direction. It was reasonable for us to be in fear of our lives. We don't have to know whether or not he was road raging or singing a song.
Actual intent, whether he was intending to scare you, intending to
sing a song or make a YouTube video or whoever. Like it doesn't
matter, but it does. And it's where words become very important. Let's just say this is the gun. I mean, how many times have we had this where you have a student who's like, bang, oh man, that was awesome.
Oh yeah.
And they're pointing a gun at you. They have no intent to try to hurt you. Now, for us, we stand certain ways, we do certain things to help mitigate that stuff and get control of people and the gun and all that. But if somebody's across the room from you and they have a gun in their hand and they're doing this,
you're going to get a gun pointed at you.
Yes. I mean, what does it matter if they're singing a song, they were starting to put their gun away, and all of a sudden this song comes over the loudspeaker in their head maybe, and they're just singing along.
That's dangerous.
That's super dangerous.
Yes.
Could you articulate you had a reasonable fear of death or serious physical injury?
100%.
I would say yeah. Their intent was not to try to hurt you or not to give you that, but the reasonableness. Now, if you said, well, I'm pretty sure he was just singing a song and pointing a gun at me and I just shot him anyway.
That's a totally
different
thing, though, is that, and what I'm saying by that human aspect of it, of his empathetic way of putting himself in his shoes, like, ah, shit, like we just ruined this guy's life if we're just singing a song. I'm being hyperbolic with his statement. Obviously, he understands that there was grave bodily harm or death right there. Their imminent threat was there. But think about the jury, because they weren't in that position. And the jury is going to be, if that were to come out to say, like, oh, I thought he was singing a song, even though your reasonableness was still there for being in fear of your life, they are now going to have empathy for the defendant, and they're going to maybe have that same sort of like, oh, you just shot him over him singing a song, even though it was still reasonable and justified. You have to understand that perception will be there. So that's why, like, let's say that we did use some level of force. Again, to visualize using a gun in that situation is doesn't seem like a great idea at all. But let's just say some level of force was used, and after the fact I had to give a statement. I would not give a statement if I used any level of force, whether it be a display of a gun at him. Maybe he got up next to us and he pointed his gun at us. Again, I want to clarify that the strategy of all this would not happen this way. But if I pointed a gun back at him and a gun got displayed on my end, I would not be giving a statement to the officer until I had an attorney present. Because sometimes things that in the moment, like all the chaos and the things that you thought and the empathy and the sympathy and all the numbers and the time, I thought that this whole ordeal lasted 10 minutes. I texted him right after this happened, and I was like, oh, we were on the phone for 10 minutes, like the cops couldn't get to us, and it felt so crazy, surreal even. And then I look back, and it was a 2-minute phone call with 911.
Less than
2 minutes, less than 2 minutes, 1 minute and 56 seconds. I'll never forget the realization of looking at my phone and seeing 1 minute and 56 seconds, and I was like, you have got to be effing kidding me. Like, and it doesn't feel like everything is going so slow. It doesn't feel like there's a bullet crowd like it's not like that. It's just like, it's like you've been spending all day at Six Flags, you look down at your watch to see like when's lunchtime, and it's like 5 o'clock and it's time to go, and you're like, holy crap, where did my day go? Like that was what I experienced as far as like time dilation. All the other stuff other than the adrenaline and like the panicked talking and just being able to talk clearly was pretty real. The dispatch told me to calm down. Luckily, calm down didn't have the
Karen effect on you?
The old effect.
Yeah.
It has the new effect of like, okay, I need to calm down. So it was just kind of interesting. But to just think about the aspect of getting to the point of lethal force. I can't tell you how many times I've seen videos or talked about it or things like that, but to actually experience in the moment that feeling of nobody's saving me, and that the imminent threat has been reached.
Yeah.
Like
3 points of the
AOJ
triangle have been met. And
like it's this AOJ, like imminent threat is this mythical thing essentially. And then when you get it, it's like, oh.
There it is.
It's very interesting because, you know, everything feels like a nail and you got a hammer in your hand. You're like, where's the imminent threat sometimes? Like it feels like that. If you look at an altercation or like something that's starting to build heat, you know, like something that's starting to build conflict, and you start thinking like, where could this go? Where could this go? And to actually to experience like that feeling, it's humbling, it's enlightening, it's surreal, and it helps understand I understand it much more. I don't, it's a hard thing to describe, honestly. I wish I could figure out a way to articulate the difference in my mindset on it. You know, to realize that threshold had been reached. But we decided, here's another part. This is the good part, because, you know, when you spend a lot of time with people, especially your spouses and things like that, you have conversations with each other that never actually come to fruition. You know, like you make those candid comments about you're driving and someone cuts you off, and whoever, you know, the person driving, your spouse is driving, like, oh, that mother ever, I would get in front of him, slam on the brakes. You know, like you hear those candid conversations that never actually come to fruition. Because they're a trusted person to you, they'll have those conversations. So in that moment, you know, when I have experienced hearing my husband say hyperbolic things like that, but never actually doing them, in that moment when all my brain could think about was past situations of him saying that, it was crazy because I didn't know what he was going to do. He was like calm as a cucumber the whole time, just like making sure he didn't do anything else to like amp him up. But because in prior times he would say something like, oh, I would slam on the brakes or screw that guy or something like that. And I think we've all been there before. Like, I think we know what that feels like when you want to slam on the brakes for somebody, but you never do. And like, that's all I could picture was him doing that and making it worse. But he didn't. And that was a big realization too. We talked about it afterwards. I'm like, all right, so maybe we should talk better to each other. Like, okay, I'm just going to stay focused and do everything I can to not rile him up. And that's also important that in a situation like that, if someone is being egotistical and trying to road rage on you and be the right one, just let them be right. Let it calm down. Don't slam on your brakes. Don't swerve in front of them. Don't try to win the fight because you don't know what
There's
level.
Nothing to win.
There's nothing to win.
There's nothing to win. It is that ego battle. We talk about this a lot. That's where most people get themselves in trouble, is because it starts off as an ego battle. Well, this guy did this to me, so I'm going to do this to him. He wants to get around me. I'm not going to let him. Let him freaking get around you and go away.
Yeah.
Right? If they're still being dangerous, call the cops. Let the cops go chase them down and figure out what the hell's going on. If he just wanted to get around you because you're camped out in the hammer lane doing 57 on an interstate that's a speed limit of 65, and he's riding your ass,
get out of the way.
Just get over it and get out of the way. Don't sit there and try to piss him off more. To what end? What do you get from that? Nothing.
Do you think that pulling off to the side, I don't know that would have, now you weren't there, but I can't imagine, I don't know that would have been, in the moment I thought he wanted to get next to us to point his gun at us.
I'd probably have a hard time, especially with somebody with a gun. I'd have a really hard time, especially you're in a construction zone. It's not like you can pull over and slam on the brakes somewhere and get off at an exit or whatever and hope that he just wants to go on about his way. That's tough. And I'm sure it's because he wanted to get around you and you weren't letting him. You couldn't. You're in a one-lane construction zone. And he was being a jerk.
I think that was part of we didn't understand what he was doing. Like, it was so... We didn't know if we had cut him off. Like, we weren't privy to any situation before we noticed him driving like this. So we don't know what led up to it. So we couldn't really say we didn't know his intentions. And
it's
it
such
was
a weird
just
thing. It's now, this could have just been because he wanted to drive fast. I talked about this, I don't know, not too long ago, about the situation that happened to me on Manchester where I was following somebody. Like, down the road. I have no idea if at some point I cut them off, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
This person was in front of me, and all of a sudden they turned into a parking lot. Happened to be the same parking lot I was turning into. I turned in behind them. They took off, flew into a parking spot. As I start coming around, they took off again, and then went to the stoplight. I parked. They backed their car up and drove right by me again. I just went back in my car. I'm like, nope, I don't know what the hell this person's doing.
Oh, yeah.
I pissed them off somehow. I don't know how. I have no idea how that happened. And they just ended up leaving and going on about their way, thankfully. I had no clue. Instead of me getting out and be like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm ready for this.
Right.
I want to fight today.
Yeah.
Just sit in my car. Bloop. And if they would have got out of their car, I just would have put my car in drive and took off.
Yeah.
Like, why have that ego battle? And that's what a lot of people want to do.
And it's easier to say. They're very real. Egos are real and tough, but work on it because it matters a lot. Because if there was any point of that where there was an ego battle on our end and it got to something else, it escalated to a higher level of force, that would come out in court, and that would make it.
If you contribute to the escalation,
absolutely,
that's going to be tough, especially if there's other witnesses. If the car behind this guy was like, yeah, I saw these guys in the front slamming on their brakes and not letting the guy go by, and all that. That's going to be bad for you.
Yeah.
That's going to be bad for you.
Yeah, the part of the imminence element, like what I was afraid of. Now, part of this is my own fear of construction zones and semi-trucks in construction zones. Like, there was a time, I'm way better at it now, that I was starting to get panicky driving through construction zones where I didn't have a shoulder, and all I could visualize was a semi-truck, like, not being able to stop and hit me, and I had a fear of this. So the semi truck was behind the person behind us. So all I could think of is like he was going to hit us and there was going to be an accident and this semi truck was going to plow into both of us and just annihilate us. So I was like,
Well, we now have something else we have to add to your EDC kit in your car. Paul
What?
says you need to throw stop sticks out the window. It'd be
perfect.
awesome.
All right. Next,
So what's
next Ileta will
Workman
take
say?
that class.
Dang, it's something we all have to practice. Sometimes things in your life will have you on the edge. I think that's some of the cases in road rage.
That's Dorian, by the way. But
Oh, I thought that was Workman. Huh. Dorian, yeah. For sure. You know, and in the last CCW class I taught, I had a husband and wife in there, and we got talking about road rage and being the calmer person and letting that person go and all that. And this husband and wife kept looking at each other. So I looked at the wife, and I was like, is he really bad about road rage? And she goes,
oh,
it was her. And the husband just kind of laughed. He was like, yeah, no, definitely her. She does not like to let people get around her. She wants to honk her horn and flip them off. And so we had a good, long conversation about that. Like, it's just not worth it. Let's just say that person cuts you off and you flip them off. They jump out of their car with a baseball bat in their hand. You can't go anywhere, and you draw your gun and shoot and kill somebody. You've done that over what? Them cutting you off in traffic? You've taken a life for somebody cutting you off in traffic? Get over yourself. That whole situation's not worth it. The taking their life is not worth it. The emotional toll that's going to have on you, the physical toll, the financial toll that's going to have on you is huge. Just freaking let it go, man.
Yeah.
Just let it go. I am definitely much better about that. I still have my moments, just like I'm sure anybody else.
Yeah.
But I can very quickly now realize it when I'm getting that way. And even if I contributed, no, screwed up. Oh, wait, no, just calm
Stop.
down. Let it freaking go. Let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be a bumper sticker.
Oh.
That's something we say all the time too. You can't lose a fight you don't get into.
I have a Lizism for that.
Uh-oh.
You may be right, but it ain't worth the fight.
We're gonna get you a pin.
Gonna get you a pin.
Be also let it go.
Phil, I will send you the barrel.
Okay.
Barrel guy.
Barrel guy. I went over and picked up another barrel from Andy on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So yeah, if I can get some more of those barrels, I'd for sure. Thank you. Dan says you're never going to see that person again. That's what we say. Like for the somebody bumping into you at the bar or whatever, and you feel like you have to stand up to them and let them know that you're not a punk and just like, sorry man, my bad. Even if they ran into you, my bad. Cool. Gosh, it's okay. No big deal. It's just beer, and walk away. You're never going to see that person again. It's not worth me. What the hell is your problem, dude? Man, I don't have a problem. Yeah, you do. You bumped into me. You spilled my beer. You owe me $27 for this beer.
Yeah. Well,
Just
here's the way. So we got to go back and read Dorian soon. But to the ego thing, real quick, like my kindergarten.
Your ego is not your amigo.
Yeah, I know,
what?
it's amazing.
I love that. That's awesome.
Last week, my little guy
stealing that,
started kindergarten, and the very first day, there was a mix-up with transportation, and he took the bus home, and he was not supposed to. And there was a whole bunch of stuff, and I was pretty hot. I finally got a hold and talked to the school's transportation specialist, and pretty quickly she started going down the path of it's not my fault. And I pretty quickly she was saying it wasn't her fault. Yeah. And I pretty quickly realized, like, I remembered the conversation, like I could tell what she was doing. I was empathetic in that moment of her empathy, not sympathy. She messed up.
Those are different.
But I could put myself in her shoes in that moment and realize how awful she probably felt right now. There's no doubt in my mind she didn't want to put my kid in the wrong spot. I know she messed up. We're humans, whatever. Instead of me saying, I know that this is your fault and blah, 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 I said, look, everything's okay now. Let's get this all worked out. And we just talked about it. And I essentially made a friend, now knowing that she is going to take it much more seriously instead of me being a shitty parent and belittling
Just
her over
yelling and screaming and blaming.
Now I have somebody that is even more so looking out for my child than before, where she was, giving excuse. You have to understand that the other person is a human, you're a human, and just try to empathize, put yourself in their position, because in your same situation, you would have been like, of course I didn't want your kid to go the wrong way. Why are you treating me like, we know what that feels like, guys. So if you can, just for a second, what is the saying? Like, you get more with honey over vinegar or something? Like,
You get more with a pound of sugar than a pound of
Shit.
lemons.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay, so
on that note, real quick,
Yeah.
it's you just think about all the situations in your life where you said, I really don't want to do this for this person, but they've been so nice to me that I'm going to help them out.
Absolutely.
That's how this sort of flipping the script on them, when they start getting all defensive, if you can say, hey, we both got this problem, we both want to solve it. Instead of me blaming you for it, let's just talk about how we can solve this thing. It happens, like you said. You're a human, I'm a human, we all make mistakes. This mistake was made. How do we not make that same mistake again? Rather than saying, well, it's your damn fault that my kid is super scared, he's on the bus, he's crying, his whole world's coming to an end, and it's all your fault. No, when he got off the bus, what was he doing? Yeah, he got to go for a super cool ride on the bus.
So happy.
He was super excited.
Gotta look for the good in everything.
Yeah, and now she's got this person as more of an advocate for how did this happen? Let's make sure this doesn't happen again, rather than thinking, well, this Elizabeth chick is a crazy person, and I don't want to help her at all.
And we got sideswiped for this freaking teenager. Oh my gosh, you guys. Like, everybody's getting in car accidents. We got sideswiped by this teenager right before we went to GOA. And, of course, we get out and analyzing the stuff, and she started making excuse. And I was like, look, it's an accident. Let's just get it figured out, and everything will be fine. And instead of it being each other at each other's throats, just shit happens. Just let it go. Because her boyfriend was with her, and maybe I got him riled up, and he decided he wanted to get shitty or something.
Okay, look at these. We only got a couple minutes, and we gotta get going. Whoa.
That's something, we already did that one. Let's see. That's, oh God, I hate this thing.
Yeah.
Why does it do this?
You had it.
Reason like Liz's story, or why I think about disparity of force all the time, especially while getting gas in a wheelchair. That's a good point, for sure. Here. We'll come back to that, Ryan. I had someone point a gun at me over a road rage incident. They did it while driving away. I started to chase them until my wife knocked some sense into me. I almost ruined my life, so it's easy to do.
It's so easy to get that freaking monkey brain, animal brain of like, I need to do this right now.
I need to win a fight.
Yes, I have to win. You're in front of your wife, your best friend. You can't be. I can't let my wife think that I would just let somebody do that and be this passive. Oh, it's okay. He waved a gun at us. It's not okay that he did that, but your response to that needs to be level. I
am so incredibly happy that we didn't go the road rage route. Like I said, in times past, the words that have come out, in those candid moments led me to think something else. But everything was calm and collected. I'm so grateful for that, and it was awesome. So the one thing, when you look at a conflict between people, think about two people attacking the conflict versus the people attacking each other over a conflict. The conflict is its own thing. The people's ideas and things surrounding, attack the problem, not the person. And it changes. If you can look at it that way, whether you're talking to your spouse, your kids, your boss, whoever, or some stranger, you can now be on the same person's team, and it totally changes the whole goal of the argument. And it makes a world of difference with just your perspective, their perspective, and everything.
You can see it in people's faces when they expect, why did you just do that? And they expect you to argue with them, to fight them, and you attack, you argue the problem. You can almost see them be like, oh.
Yeah. because then you get common
Okay.
ground, and then when you have common ground, then you can problem solve. It's the same way with shooting or anything. Like, if you go to shoot your gun and you pull it low left, you are not a shitty shooter. There was a problem that existed in that moment. See what the problem was. Call your shots, figure out what it was, and fix it. It's a problem that you can fix and grow from. It's not you.
It is you.
It's you.
But
It's you.
Peggy says we have to put you in bubble wrap. That's not
That
wrong.
sounds fun.
That sounds fun.
You roll me down the hill.
All right, so
Yes, Ryan. Reasons like Liz's story are why I think about disparity of force all the time, especially while getting gas in a wheelchair. That is, the disparity of force being a woman is a thing. The wheelchair and getting gas and all that, that's a whole nother level of disparity that I have not considered, honestly. But
it's something you have to consider, and I
Yeah.
try hard when I teach CCW to talk about this, and I've only got a few minutes, so we'll keep this super short, but I'll pick out a woman in the class and say, hey, if I walked up to you unannounced and I just blast you in the face as hard as I can, wow, could you fear for your life? Yeah, could you use your gun? Sure, okay, yada, yada, yada. And I pick a dude in the class. I try to find somebody who's usually bigger than me, or at least very athletic looking, somebody who looks like they could be very capable. And I said, what if I walk up and punch him in the face? It's the exact same situation. Well, no, I guess not. Yeah, there's a
fight,
disparity
yeah.
of force, right? That's an objective and subjective thing, because somebody might even look able-bodied, but maybe they've got a brain injury, and they know that if they take a hit or two to the face, that it could end their life.
absolutely.
Right? But to the outside person, it looks like two guys that are the same physical size and shape and all that stuff that are just duking it out. There is a disparity of force there that only one of them knows, but it's still real.
Damn. So,
Talk fast.
what if two people get into a fight? I'm gonna try to process this quickly. That don't happen.
Nope.
And one of them's got cauliflower ear, and so,
But what is that?
well, if you can articulate that you knew that cauliflower ear typically is on fighters, and let's just say this guy's got, he's tatted up, he's got muscle, he looks like your typical MMA fighter, and since you're in that world a little bit, you know what that is, and you know that that's a dangerous person, and that you can use a higher level of force because your disparity is higher, right? Because you're going up against a trained fighter. But then what if that trained fighter could also use a higher level of force against you who doesn't have that same ability physically because he is battling a concussion right now? You wouldn't know that, and remove the totality of the situation as who is at fault and who started conflict and all that stuff. That's a whole nother topic. But just between those two and the disparity of force, they both have a disparity that isn't like one of them's visible, one of them's not.
Yeah, and so that becomes tough because it has to be,
What
for
you
the
need.
fighter, he knows his own vulnerabilities, but
the defender does not.
yeah,
or,
and you have to, it has to be what you knew in the moment. It can't be that, hey, I got in this fight and I shot the guy, and then I look down and I notice he's got cauliflower ear after the fact.
No. No.
Don't play. And if you articulate it that way, you're going to jail.
It's like
You're going to jail either way.
It's like I chose to pepper spray you sooner because I noticed you had cauliflower ear, but then like if you with the cauliflower ear realize that you can't get into a physical altercation because of your concussion, like I'm just saying, like the reasonableness is your own.
Yeah.
Like it's not something that the other person would know in the
Wouldn't
moment.
even know, yeah.
So it's, or a pacemaker. Like I had to use a higher level of force sooner because I have a pacemaker. Well, the other person didn't know that. That's your problem.
That's not your problem. That's
Yeah.
their problem.
So anyway,
We done.
I learned a lot today.
We gotta go.
We gotta go.
So I think we're at the bottom, but
Yeah.
oh wait.
More
Kent,
flies.
good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, we read that. Okay.
Okay, so we gotta go. We gotta go.
It's a lot.
Friday, women's only. Self-defense workshop just down the road from us at Gracie. $25. Send us an email, training@therangeSTL.com. Ask about it. We'll send you a little form to fill out so we can keep track of how many people are supposed to show up. If you're signed up and you can't make it, let us know so that we can open up those spots, or so we're not waiting around or whatever. Customer Appreciation Day, September 14th, all day long, parties, games, deals, free lanes, all sorts of cool, awesome stuff. We'll have manufacturers here. Just is going to be fun. My freaking 30th high school reunion is that same day. That's crazy to me.
My 20th is coming up soon.
Yes, I'm old. And
What are you doing? Knife hands or pointing?
knife hands and pointing.
Apparently, this is a thing too, but that's like no. Body language.
Carry your gun. Carry your gun. That's it for us. 14803 Manchester Road in beautiful Baldwin, Missouri. If you need something, come see us. 10 to 8, Monday through Friday, Saturday 9 to 6, Sunday 10 to 6. Get your Hawaiian shirt for Customer Appreciation Day. Do it. They're $10 off right now through up to Customer Appreciation Day. On Customer Appreciation Day and forward, you got to pay $10 more. So come in, order one, and you can pick it up on Customer Appreciation Day. It'll be awesome.
Do
It's
it.
way worth it. You guys have a super awesome day. Stay safe, be nice to one another, and we'll catch you soon. Later.
Toodles.
Are you going to push the button, or what are you going to push the that button?